Welcome to Studio 5. We're taking a look at fatherhood and family on the big screen today with actors Mark Whalberg and Steve Carell and filmmaker Sean Anders. These conversations will give us a look at the film's Instant Family and Beautiful Boy. As we get those interviews lined up, let's fire up the countdown clock and begin our look at what's making headlines in uplifting entertainment. At number 5.
For a kid like myself, who started to find his way.
It's a project that brings athletes LeBron James and Tim Tebow together. Wearing his producer's hat, James tapped the New York Mets minor leaguer and former NFL quarterback to host a new CBS physical competition series called $1 Million Mile.
So far, we have raised $30,000 for LeBron's new school.
Just a little bit tougher than LeBron's Ellen's appearances.
You're gonna eat ice cream with hot sauce on it.
Oh my.
$1 Million Mile contestants will compete to win $1 million every time they run a massive obstacle course.
No.
So if I miss this, you gotta take another shot?
Yeah, don't miss it.
At number 4.
What? They're making another Toy Story movie.
No! I thought those movies were done, dog. They made 3 movies.
That's right. Hollywood headlines are abuzz with news of Toy Story 4 and this teaser with some new characters in the mix.
I really don't know,
I don't belong here!
This Disney classic is back in theaters and all new in the summer of 2019.
Hey, guys, you got it all wrong.
It's to infinity and beyond.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
We'll pick up the countdown with number 3 in just a little bit. Right now, we want to take a look at a new film based on the real-life story of a husband and wife who take in 3 foster children. Here's a Studio 5 first look at the hilarious ups and downs of adoption in Instant Family, starring Mark Whalberg.
Okay, Pete and Ellie took in 3 children 10 days ago.
Mark Whalberg and Rose Byrne lead the cast in this comedy, based on the real-life story of a couple who adopts 3 children.
The county puts these on because they can match a lot of kids and parents quickly.
Look at the big kids.
Everybody's avoiding them. I'm gonna go and say hi.
But they're teenagers, okay? They use drugs and they watch people playing video games on YouTube. We're not equipped for any of that.
Hi! Just FYI, we can all hear you.
This is Instant Family. I understand you fell in love with this project before a script was even written?
Yes.
Why
well,
is that?
just the idea. I had experience where I went to I was supposed to be the kind of like, I don't know, to boost kids' spirits at an adoption event. And I ended up finding myself being inspired by these kids and how strong they were and how positive they were. And so having had that experience and then Sean telling me about his experience, I just signed on right away.
Lizzie's mom is a product of the system, and she never learned to properly care for herself, much less 3 kids.
3? Oh. 3 kids?
What? Yeah, 3.
Yeah, Lizzie.
At once?
Yeah, Lizzie comes with 2 younger siblings, Juan and Lita.
Wait, so we would have
3 children.
Oh, 2 maybe, but there's no way we can do 3. I mean, that was, we wanted to meet them. Oh my gosh.
Oh my.
Why would you show us that? Why would you even show that? They're so cute. That's wrong.
This is a film that talks about adoption and foster care, both very serious issues. So you probably would not expect to come and laugh as much as you do. What did you think of exploring this issue in a funny way?
I loved it. I think it's a way to get people into a serious subject, what is essentially a serious subject, through comedies. Like, incredible. My favorite films ride that line, like Parenthood or Steel Magnolias. You know, like I'm revealing myself here, but those sort of movies, I think that they stand the test of time.
Does everybody know that we're here for foster?
They know, Sharon. What do you think? These people just wandered in off the street?
Academy Award-winning actress Octavia Spencer and comedian Tig Notaro play social workers. A bit of good cop, bad cop.
It is not going to be easy, folks. These kids will test your will, put a strain on your relationship, and push buttons you didn't even know you had. Now, I can tell by looking at you that not all y'all are going to make it.
I actually think this group has got the grit to face some unpleasant... You guys heading out? Okay, well, thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, that one's on me.
It absolutely is. And you know what? We've gone over this before.
This film is naturally inspired by the director's real life.
Yeah.
Do you know these characters in your own life, this husband and wife?
Sure. I mean, yeah. I think there's so much familiar, even though it's not my world or life. But with the kids, and everyone knows these kids, everyone knows these parents, and even if you think you're not going to relate, you will. You'll relate. There's something for everyone in the best of ways.
And the story shines with the children cast in this film: Isabella Moner, Gustavo Quiroz, and Juliana Gamiz.
Where's my potato chips?
Oh, we're not having chips tonight, Munchkin. Sorry.
I want my chips.
Let's try some of this meatloaf, okay?
No! I want my chips!
Not having chips!
You sure you don't want to just give her some chips?
No, we're not giving her chips.
Gustavo, how much are you like your character?
Similar. We're both pretty clumsy.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah. Clumsy. Yeah. And yeah, we both have gray hair.
You got great hair.
Yeah. On an eye. Pretty cool.
Juliana, are you much like your character? You do scream a lot at home?
Yeah.
You do?
When I don't get the things that I want, I scream.
Watch your feet, okay?
Hey, Hey, you give those to me. Give me.
Calm down. Don't cry. I'll get it. Just stay there, Mom. Oh! Ah! God!
Oh my God, you okay?
Oh, God! Hold on. Leave the duck!
What are you doing?
What? I'm trying to put it out!
With ketchup?
Put it out!
Stop it!
Sorry.
Lita?
Wait. What's that noise? Why is she growling? That wasn't in the classes. I got nothing for that. She's got a knife.
It's just a SpongeBob knife.
It's still a knife.
This film comes out in November, National Adoption Month, and we're also now approaching Thanksgiving, Christmas, all the family holidays.
Yeah.
What do you think this film says about the whole idea and concept of family?
Family and faith are the most important things. And, you know, what a family looks like today could be anything. And that's an important message to get out there. And when families are being pulled apart, it's so important to encourage people, to bring people in, to be inclusive.
Yeah.
And, you know, we should all, if everybody's faith and focus was on the same things, we'd be living in a much different world right now.
Everybody say family.
And Instant Family is in American theaters November 16th. It's a wonderfully funny and heartwarming film, but we do want to let you know it contains adult language.
And still ahead.
I wanted it to be as much of our story as possible, but I also sat down with a bunch of other families, particularly those who had adopted teenage girls.
Meet the filmmaker who ripped the Instant Family story from the pages of his real life.
And welcome back to Studio 5. Our look at fatherhood and family on the big screen continues in a moment. Right now, it is time to continue the countdown of the best headlines in uplifting entertainment.
At number 3, civility comes to SNL.
So we good?
We're good. Apology accepted.
Just keep breathing.
Dan Crenshaw trolled Pete Davidson with an Ariana Grande ringtone on Saturday Night Live after Davidson apologized for joking about the congressman-elect's eye patch last week. Crenshaw lost the eye fighting in Afghanistan. Grande ended her engagement with Davidson last month.
And FaithWire shares what people may not have noticed: the 4 words Davidson whispered to Crenshaw: "You're a good man." At number 2, celebrities are praising the work of brave California firefighters and first responders, saving lives, homes, and animals in the face of raging wildfires.
Makes me cry to see how people are willing to run into the face of danger to protect people and the animals and the homes that they love.
Celebs are helping too. Lady Gaga visiting an evacuation shelter to do what she could. She was evacuated from her Malibu home as well.
Celebrities Miley Cyrus, Neil Young, and Gerard Butler are among those who lost their homes.
With that, there is only one more headline in this week's countdown of the best in uplifting entertainment. We'll get to that in about 6 or 7 minutes. Right now, we want to get back to the funny and uplifting film Instant Family. It's based on the real-life experiences of the husband and father who wrote and directed the film. Sean Anders is here for this week's Studio 5 Sit Down.
Well, we had been talking for a long time about whether or not we wanted to have kids. And I just made this joke of like, God, I'm starting to feel on the old side of it. Why don't we just adopt a 5-year-old and it'll be like I got started 5 years ago? And she immediately said, you know, I would really consider that. And I said, yeah, I was really joking.
Once we decided to move forward, it was scary and overwhelming, but we were really open to whatever came our way.
We went through some really tough times, the kids adjusting to us adjusting to them, but not just adjusting to them, but just adjusting to being parents in general, because we went from 0 kids to 3 kids literally overnight. I felt like so much of what we went through was funny.
This film was inspired by your life?
Yes.
When did you know that your life was a big screen movie?
You know, I think it was my writing partner, John Morris, who suggested it at first, and also suggested it as a comedy, which I thought was a little strange, but then he said, well, you've already told me so many funny stories about this, and then we started thinking of it in a whole new way.
Adoption, foster care can often be heavy.
Yeah.
Did you think this would work instantly as a comedy?
No, no. I think it really took some finessing to figure it out, but the thing that got me excited was that, like you said, it's a heavy topic and it's usually treated in a very heavy way, and unfortunately the result of that is that the heavy treatment of it that really only focuses on the tragic aspects, it adds to people's fear of the kids that are in the system and where they come from and that sort of thing. So we tried not to shy away from the tragic aspects of it, but we tried to really focus on the laughs and the joy of it and what is funny and awkward about people who don't even know each other trying to sort of show up at the same house and become a family overnight. It's just so strange. Yeah.
The casting is amazing. I'll ask about the kids, I mean, because they really light up the screen and play their roles so well. How difficult was it to narrow down who was going to do what?
You know, it wasn't difficult because in each case, you know, we auditioned a lot of kids, but in each case with Juliana, Gustavo, and Isabella, as soon as we knew we had them very quickly after they walked in. And I think the most interesting story is Gustavo, because Gustavo came in and his character was originally written a little bit differently, but he came in and that kid just had such a good heart and such a sweetness to him that he was even older than we had originally written the character, that we rewrote the character for Gustavo because we liked him so much and we felt like he was such a real kid.
Nice.
Yeah.
This film comes out as November, National Adoption Month,
yes.
Beginning of the holiday season, that means where we really begin to focus on families. What do you think this movie says about the whole idea of family?
I think the movie is at the end of the day, it's just all about love. And of course, it's about how family can be a really difficult prospect. And I think that's really universal. I don't think family is easy for anybody, but I think it's where we get our love and foundation from, and it's so important to everybody. I was just walking around New York City, and I just couldn't help but notice all the families and just all the fun they were having together.
What inspired you to adopt?
It happened exactly like it happens in the movie. My wife and I had been talking for years about whether or not we're going to have kids. For a long time, we felt like we couldn't afford it. And when the conversation became more real, I said, you know, but now I feel like I'm going to be one of those old dads that can't throw the ball, you know? And I said, you know what? Why don't we just adopt a 5-year-old and it'll be like I got cracking 5 years ago. Yeah. And I was totally kidding. And my wife actually kind of ran with the idea. And we went to a website and went to an orientation exactly like it happens in the movie. That's how it happened for us. I just made a dumb joke one day, and now I have 3 kids.
I love it. By the way, Sean Anders is the man behind the hit films Daddy's Home, Horrible Bosses 2, and Dumb and Dumber. You can catch Instant Family in American theaters November 16th. Up next.
My son is out there somewhere, and I don't know what he's doing. I don't know how to help him.
It's the heartbreaking yet inspiring story of survival, relapse, and recovery. in Beautiful Boy.
I hope this movie ignites an emotional reaction out of people.
And welcome back to Studio 5. We have made it to the final headline in this week's countdown of the best in uplifting entertainment.
At number 1. And just in time for Thanksgiving, the Rocky franchise is back with Creed 2, starring Michael B. Jordan. This is a story of fatherhood fighting back and finding legacy.
I was afraid I couldn't live up to these expectations.
You don't think you got your validation?
This guy is dangerous.
I ain't got a choice.
That's the same thing your father said, and he died right here in my hand.
One of the things that keeps us as an audience on the edge of our seat is when his character's in the fight and he is knocked down and then trying to summon that strength to get back up, and we're waiting. Where do you find the strength when you're knocked down to pull yourself back up?
I mean, I go in touch with my mom. You know, my mom is like, you know, moms are like, they have this superpower where they're, you know, you just put, you know, good touch foreheads or just like, or give her a hug and just breathing together, you know, you feel safe for whatever reason. So I think whenever I'm getting like too, you know, run down or tired or whatever, I just usually just give her a call and usually gets me back on track.
Creed 2 is in American theaters November 21st.
And that wraps this week's countdown and brings us back to this week's look at family and fatherhood on the big screen. Beautiful Boy is described as the heartbreaking and inspiring experience of survival and relapse as well as recovery in a family coping with addiction. And it's based on the real lives of a father and his son addicted to drugs. Here's your Studio 5 first look.
My son has gone missing. Nicholas Sheff, S-H-E-F-F.
There's no one by that name, sir.
There are moments that I look at him, this kid that I raised, who I thought I knew inside and out, and I wonder who he is. I thought we were close. I thought we were closer than most fathers and sons. Why? This isn't us. This is not who we are. If you could take all the words and the language, it still wouldn't describe how much I love you.
It's a portrait of a family who believes in unconditional love.
So how you doing?
I'm doing great, you know, just doing what needs to be done.
The scene in the diner.
Yeah, I've seen a few $100.
Why don't we just have lunch and talk?
David and Nick, Steve and Timmy are having this conversation where David is happy to finally get him off the street.
Is there step up next week? And I know they'd love you.
Yeah, you're guilt tripping me, all right?
No, I'm just saying.
I feel horrible about myself.
And he hopes to just get through him, but all Nick wants is money, and you see them constantly like trying to find each other but not getting to each other.
You think that you have this under control, and I understand how scared you are.
I understand why I do things. It doesn't make me any different, all right? I'm attracted to craziness, and you're just embarrassed because I was like, you know, I was like this amazing thing, like your special creation or something, and you don't like who I am now.
Yeah? Who are you, Nick?
This is me, Dad. Here, this is who I am.
Addiction is this cycle of relapse, rehab, and they do learn along the way, but often like they learn too late.
I don't know how to help him! You can't!
I don't feel like I have a disease. This isn't like cancer. This is my choice. I put myself here.
Addiction doesn't have any prejudice. It's going to come for the old and the young and the rich and the poor and the successful.
And it can't happen to anybody. It doesn't discriminate. It's not a moral failure. It is a disease.
It'll pass, though. It always does.
What does?
The feeling of being alienated and isolated.
Huh, that really helps. Thanks for the advice, Dad.
Okay.
If 2 or 10 healthy people come away with a bit more strength, and there might be a chance also that we take shame out of the equation when we're dealing with addiction or addressing addiction, then maybe we've made a difference.
I need to find a way to fill this black hole in me.
Anything that you do that elicits some sort of visceral response, I think that's a good thing and a value.
I still have a family. I want them to be proud of me. I hope this movie ignites an emotional reaction out of people. When I tried it, I felt better than I ever had, so I just kept on doing it. This is something a lot of people are going through, and I feel really good sitting in this chair and like talking about it and hopefully getting it out into the world, because these are urgent things.
I had such grand plans. He'd graduate from college, do something amazing, and now I just want him to not die. And I'm a dad, and I go home and I'm with my kids and my wife, and it's real, you know. This story is very real to me.
It's very hopeful.
What you have, you're gonna find it again. You're gonna get it back. I don't think there's one thing that each person will take. I hope it's different for everyone.
It's just to find some encouragement.
I love you more than everything.
I love everything.
Everything. Everything.
Beautiful Boy is in American theaters right now. It is rated R because of the serious content. The film is based on 2 books, Beautiful Boy, written by David Sheff, and Tweak, Growing Up on Methamphetamine by David's son, Nick Sheff. Both are available right now.
Still to come.
Invitation, sir. I should be on that list. Name? Stan Lee.
Paying tribute to the mind behind Marvel Comics.
And welcome back to Studio 5. A picture is sometimes said to be worth 1,000 words, and that is true this week. It's a snapshot that comes from a Studio 5 viewer. Take a look.
He's the mind behind Marvel Comics, Stan Lee. The fierce writer, editor, and publisher was responsible for such iconic characters as Spider-Man, the X-Men, Thor, Iron Man, Black Panther, and the Fantastic Four. Lee died this week at the age of 95, and he is this week's Studio 5 Snapshot.
With that snapshot, we are almost out of time, so before the clock runs out, let's see what we're working on for next week.
It's a story of fatherhood, fighting back, and finding legacy.
If you want to fight this man, that's your business, but don't pretend this is about your father.
Ryan Coogler suggested Steven, and I was excited to work with Steven. I was really looking forward to building something with him.
Meet the new director.
So, Steven, you come into a very well-established brand. Ryan comes before you and introduces this story. What kind of pressure coming in for you to pick up?
There was a lot.
Behind this latest chapter of the Rocky franchise, Creed 2.
That's next week. I hope you'll join us for that. As for the final word for this show on fatherhood and family, I thought I'd take a moment and share a proud dad moment with you. Take a look.
That's the voice of my son, graduating from boot camp. And as America celebrated Veterans Day this week, you got it! You got it! My heart and mind could only think of my young son, who has now joined the ranks of that rare 1% who signs up and passes the rigorous test to serve this country. I am in awe that God bless my wife and myself to raise a young man with heart, integrity, and love. He makes fatherhood easy.
He is indeed an answer to prayer that makes my heart smile every day. That is the final word for this edition of Studio 5 and this week's look at uplifting entertainment. Until next time, make time to uplift someone else. Bye-bye, everybody.